How did a reckless night with a stranger in a crowded club end with divorce papers in my hands? Why did my husband stand calm while I told everyone he was cruel and controlling? What happens when I keep posting and spinning until he answers with law, not noise? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. My name is Sibilla Roan. I am 31, and I work as a junior marketing assistant at an events agency. I like crowds, lights, and fast approval. I say, attention proves I am alive. My husband is Markus Hale, a science teacher who likes plans and quiet rules. He says calm protects love. I say noise keeps it honest. We did not agree on volume. At a club 2 weeks ago, I called what I did freedom. I met a stranger named Rafe. We danced too close. I said to myself that dancing is not cheating if you feel brave. Markus asked later why I crossed the line. I said I was expressing myself. He said expression is not a permit. I heard control in his tone and called it fear. I posted a story the next day about breathing room in marriage. Some friends cheered. My mother reposted with hearts. His mother sent a short message that respect still matters. I said older people love rules. He moved to the guest bed and said we would talk when I stopped performing. I said performance is my job. I told myself I could turn the night into a brand. I did not see his quiet plan starting under my noise. The apartment smelled like last night's takeout and hairspray from my work bag. I stood in the kitchen and watched the clock blink a slow minute. I told myself I was brave because I spoke my truth. I said I wanted air, and I took it. I kept saying those lines in my head until they sounded like a song. Markus walked in from the hall with 2 mugs and placed them on opposite ends of the counter. He said the night had been loud and he needed calm. I said calm meant blame. He said he was not blaming. He said he was thinking. I said thinking was just a quiet way to punish me. He did not answer. He opened a thin folder labeled household and set it by the mail. He moved like a person sorting wires. I told him I had posted a morning story about breathing room in marriage. I said honest people should not be punished for being alive. He said posting did not fix harm. I said harm was a big word for dancing. He said I was changing the name of things to make myself feel clean. I hated how steady his voice sounded. I wanted a scene so I could win on volume. On the wall planner, I saw a fresh red circle on Friday. I did not draw it. Next to it, in small letters, someone had written drop off. The P had a neat tail. Markus loves neat tails. I asked if the circle was for errands. He said he liked lists. I said lists were prisons. He said lists were maps. I said I did not need a map to live my life. He looked at the guest room door, then at me, then back at the folder. My phone lit with a message from my mother. She said I was brave for asking for space. I sent her a heart. His mother, Therese, sent a short line that respect still matters when we are tired. I rolled my eyes and put my phone face down. My father, Derek, sent a thumbs up and no words. That is his style. My coworker, Danny, sent a fire emoji, and then the word careful. I ignored careful. I opened my notes app and drafted a post. Freedom isn't cheating if there is honesty. It looked good in clean font. I imagined the likes coming in like warm rain. Markus asked if I could stop talking to a screen and talk to him. I said screens do not twist my words. He said screens twist everything. I said he was scared of a woman who knows what she wants. He said he was tired of word games. He picked up his phone to check the time. A thin banner flashed and slid away before I could read it. When he set the phone down, the lock screen showed a small bar. Downtown, 11:40 a.m. I felt a pinch. I asked if he had plans that needed secrets. He said the calendar had always been shared. I just never looked. I said he was acting like a manager. He said he wanted order so we did not break more things. I walked to the sink and turned the water on high. The sound let me talk without hearing his reply. I said the club was not cheating. I said I danced close with a man named Rafe I had just met, and I felt power for the first time in months. I said I told myself touching was just a shape in light. He said I was telling stories to win a crowd. I said I was telling stories because that is my job. He said jobs do not change truth. He moved past me toward the guest room. The bed in there looked firm and new, like a hotel. The pillow sat square in the middle. I said sleeping apart would make people talk. He said people already talk. I said he should act like a husband and hold me. He said he did not feel safe in our bed right now. I called that dramatic. He said this was not a show. I said life is a show if you do it right. My phone buzzed with DM pings. Some people called me bold. Some said poor husband. I pinned the bold. I deleted the poor husband. I filmed a short story from the kitchen, where the light is best. I said adults can make new rules. I said saying a want out loud is the first rule. I smiled in a way that made my cheeks ache. I posted it and waited for hearts. Markus took a small USB stick from the key bowl and slid it into his pocket. I laughed and asked if he was playing spy. He said he was organizing our files. I said our files were feelings, not folders. He did not answer. He placed the household folder by the door with the mail. A clipboard lay under it with a single word on the top sheet. Statement. I picked it up and set it down again like it burned. He asked me to tell him the whole night in plain words. I said plain words are for courtrooms. He said I was not in a courtroom. I was in our kitchen. I said, fine. I danced. I kissed. I felt alive, and nothing else matters. He said his no had mattered when I said I needed air, and I stepped past it. I said I told him my need before, so honesty should count for something. He said honesty does not change the act. I said he was making the act bigger than it was. He said I was making myself smaller to fit the act. I felt my face heat. He checked the time again and put on his jacket. He said he would be back after lunch. I said he could not leave me like this. He said he would not say words he could not take back. I said he should fight for me. He said he would not fight. He would think. I said thinking is running. He said running is different from stepping aside. He moved to the door. The apartment went quiet as he gripped the knob. I felt a rush of wanting to say sorry. Then I swallowed it because sorry would look weak on camera. I told him I would go live later. He said that was my choice. I asked if he would watch. He said no. The door latch clicked. His steps went soft down the stairwell. I stayed very still and listened to the fridge hum. My phone vibrated with a call from a private number. I did not answer. A text preview from Rafe slid across the top and vanished before I could catch it. I only saw the words keep it chill. I breathed hard through my nose. I told myself strangers do not get to tell me how to talk. I set the two mugs close together, took a photo, and wrote a caption, "Love can bend." Then I moved them apart again because that is how he left them, and I wanted him to feel seen when he came back. I touched the red circle on Friday with my finger and told myself it meant groceries. I looked at the downtown 11:40 a.m. on my memory and told myself it meant a haircut. I told myself a lot of things until the room seemed to believe me. The events office looked like a glass box full of keyboards and whispering coffee cups. I set my bag under the desk and put on my reception smile. The open-plan floor carried every sound. People rolled past on chairs and slowed when they reached my station. They looked at me, then at their phones, then at me again. I told myself I could win this room with clean lines and a steady chin. Danny parked her chair beside mine and slid a paper cup over. She said my story had legs today. I said good. She said legs can run away. I said not if I keep pace. She asked if I had talked to Markus. I said he was pretending to think. She said thinking is not pretending. I said I knew the difference. She did not argue. At 10, Priya stepped from her office and tapped the glass of the small HR room. She asked if I had a minute for a quick word. Her voice was soft and full, like a pillow. I said of course. I walked in, and sat on the side chair. A framed poster said, "Respect is a shared language." Priya said she had seen my posts and also the tags that used our office location because I filmed here last week. She said sponsors and clients sometimes search our names. She asked if I could avoid posting hot personal topics at the desk and keep the tone calm for a bit. I said my brand needed energy and honesty. She said the company brand needed care and quiet. She asked if I could, at minimum, stop filming on the floor. I said I could do that. She thanked me and said we would revisit in a week. When I stepped back into the open floor, the office printer near the wall started to spool a long job. The soft hum moved through my bones. 2 interns stood beside the machine with their phones out. One said the word club in a whisper. The other said it looks real. They looked up fast when they saw me. I smiled like I had fans to serve. I checked the appointment board and told myself work would steady me. On my laptop, a window I did not open sat on the second monitor. It was a spreadsheet with initials and dates. No letters, no logos, just tidy rows. The file path said, "Family share." I closed it with 2 quick taps. My neck felt tight. I told myself Markus liked to track bills and rent. I told myself this was normal adult work. I told myself to breathe. I heard my own breath and did not like the sound. A missed call with no caller ID flashed on my phone and then vanished. I tried to call back. The number did not exist. I set the phone down and opened my post editor. I typed a square that said, "Love grows when we let it breathe." I added a photo of my hand over a meeting notebook. I wrote that honesty is not a threat. I tagged no one. I scheduled the post for noon and told myself I was building a wall of light. Mr. Baird from our building pushed through the glass doors with a visitor pass, form half filled. He saw me and smiled like he knew a good joke. He asked if a day pass included coffee. I said coffee was for members, but water was free. He said the building chat was busy today. He asked if I had seen the new thread. I said I do not read basement chats. He said he did, and some people were asking about the stranger's name. I said strangers do not get names. He laughed through his nose and handed me the form. I stamped it hard enough to feel something. Danny leaned toward me and said she made a search and found a rooftop tag from last year where I talked about freedom in love. She said people had stitched it with my new post and were writing think pieces in the comments. I said think pieces are just long insults. She said some were thoughtful. I said thoughtful is slow. She said slow is real. I said you sound like Therese. She said maybe Therese was right. I said not here, not now. The tablet on the desk pinged with tagged posts. My newest square went live and climbed fast. My mother reposted with a caption that said, "My daughter is brave." Therese sent me a quiet message that said, "Families can heal if we stop feeding crowds." I did not reply. My father sent a thumbs up. I wanted a real word from him and felt angry that he gave none. I turned that anger into a smile for the next person who asked where the bathrooms were. Near noon, Priya walked by and asked if I could step into HR again after lunch to talk about reputation risk. I said yes in my best professional tone. She said she appreciated my work with clients and wanted to keep our lane clear. I said our lane was fine. She looked at me like she could see the lane cracking under my feet. The printer spooled again with a heavy sound like a sigh. The assistant retrieved a stack of paper and set it on the counter near me. The top sheet said vendor statement in a big font. That word made my stomach jolt. I slid the stack toward the assistant with a bright laugh and said I was allergic to paperwork. She said paperwork keeps roofs over heads. I did not like that line. It sounded like Markus. I checked our shared calendar on my phone. A thin block had appeared on his side. Meeting, personal 4:35 p.m. The numbers looked clean. I swiped the block away from my screen, like that could make it not exist. It stayed on the laptop calendar anyway. I told myself it was a haircut, a hardware store trip, a friend chat. I pictured him buying screws and felt foolish for caring. I opened my camera and fixed my hair in the black mirror of the screen. Rafe sent me a DM that said, "We should not talk unless it is necessary." He said people were nosy and he was busy. He said he would call if he needed to clear anything. I typed that I did not need him to clear anything because I did nothing wrong. He sent a thumbs up and no words. The emptiness of that icon felt loud. I closed the chat. A client with too much perfume asked if my weekend reel about breathing room was part of a campaign. I said yes, a personal campaign. She said bold. She said her husband would never allow that talk. I said my husband does not allow things either. We discuss. She asked who won. I said I did. She laughed like she believed me, and like she also did not. Danny returned with a small plate of cookies from a vendor. She asked if I had eaten. I said, praise is food. She said, praise is sugar. I took a cookie anyway because the word sugar made me remember I was human. She asked if I wanted to turn off comments for a day. I said that would look weak. She said it would look like rest. I said, rest is code for losing. She said, maybe losing is stopping the harm. I turned to answer the phone so I did not have to answer her. The afternoon rolled on, and I felt more like a banner than a person. People walked past and looked at me like a headline. I looked back like a billboard. I knew how to hold my chin for that. I knew how to make my eyes look peaceful when I did not feel peace. When it was almost 2, the calendar block flashed again. Meeting, personal, 4:35 p.m. I pressed my lips together and typed a note to myself that said, ask tonight. Then I deleted the note. I told myself not to give his plan power. I told myself the story was mine if I kept talking. I drafted a reel about modern love as a joint project. I added soft piano. It sounded like a safe lie. I saved it to drafts. As I packed to step out for a coffee run, someone outside the glass took a quick photo of the lobby. The camera flash hit the door by mistake and bounced into my eyes. I blinked and saw stars. I heard Danny ask if I was okay. I said I was better than okay. I was running the room. It felt like the room was running me, but I did not say that part. Priya called my name again. She asked if we could do that quick word now. I said yes and followed her in. She spoke softly about risk and clients. She said silence can be strength. I said silence is not my brand. She said brands change when they grow. I nodded like a person who takes advice, and I walked out like a person who leads. The rooftop bar looked like a glass box floating in pink air. The sun slid down the buildings and painted the bottles warm. Danny waved me to the corner under a neon sign that read, Good Times. She said the light would make me soft. I said soft sells. She asked if I had read the comments. I said I didn't read, I led. She let the line pass, but her mouth went tight. Rafe appeared from the stairwell with a careful grin and a jacket that smelled like cloves. He said he had a shift later and could not stay long. I said he could stay long enough to be seen. He glanced at 2 women filming their cocktails and said the city liked movies more than men. I said then he should act better. He laughed once without teeth. A table near the rail turned toward us in a slow wave. I knew the look. People ready to be fed a scene and then claim they just happened to catch it. Danny whispered that I could frame the story now or let strangers do it. I said I knew my angles. I lifted my glass, and the music dipped, like the DJ could smell attention. I said I believed in honest lives. I said telling a want out loud was better than hiding it under shame. I said a marriage with air can breathe. Heads nodded, but not all. A woman in a denim jacket asked if my husband had agreed to air. I said we were in a long talk. She asked if the talk had included the word no. I said his no sounded like fear. She nodded as if she had put me in a box and labeled it gently. Rafe hovered behind my shoulder. He said last weekend had been messy fun, nothing more. I repeated messy fun because it fit in people's ears. A man in a cap asked if my husband had said no before the night. I said he had said no, and I had said my truth, and we were still learning. The man said, learning after hurt was spin. I smiled like he had told a boring joke. Phones rose. White squares glared at my face. From the long couch, a chant started, toast, 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 and rolled toward us, lazy and sure. Danny squeezed my elbow and said to keep it short. I said I was not built small. I lifted my glass higher and said, here's to courage and to living out loud. I said, here's to love that grows with air. The cheer lifted, but a thin wire of disapproval hummed somewhere inside it. My watch tapped my wrist. The shared planner flashed a neat line. Downtown 2:05 p.m. tomorrow. I tilted, swiped it away, and told myself Markus needed a haircut or a trip to the library. The time crawled into my throat anyway. I took a slow sip to wash it down. A stranger asked for a picture with me, said it was for a group chat called Hard Truths. I smiled and leaned in. After the shot, she asked if I felt proud. I said I felt brave. She said brave without care looks loud. I said loud is sometimes needed. She walked off as if she had finished her errand. Danny showed me her phone. A live stream labeled me the club bride. It stitched my old rooftop video about freedom in love with today's face. I said old content always returns when people are bored. Danny said boredom is not the same as judgment. I said judgment was jealous. She said maybe it was tired. Rafe shifted closer. He said his boss had messaged about optics and he needed to keep distance online. I said distance looks like guilt. He said guilt looks like drunk decisions. I said warning first makes a difference. He said not to husbands. The line landed cooler than the wind. A woman near the sign asked if I had crossed a clear line on purpose because it felt exciting. I said I had told the truth first, and that truth should count. She said, counting truth after stepping over no does not help. I felt my face heat and lifted the glass again to hide it. The crowd was still awake. They wanted me to feed them. I fed them. I said I would post a longer video later with context. I said people needed education on modern love. Someone laughed, short, mean, and then covered it with a cough. Rafe's eyes cut toward the exit. I told him with my face to hold. He stayed, but his feet looked ready to run. The chant swelled again. The DJ dipped the track a second time, as if he owed me a stage. I said, here's to people who try. Here's to not hiding. My words felt thinner, like a paper held too long in rain. Still, the phones loved the shape of the moment, and they glowed like a small galaxy trained on me. My screen flashed. A message from Markus appeared and slid away before I could tap. I caught only the final word, enough. The word echoed up my spine. I told myself he would tire of calm and return to me once the crowd showed I was right. I told myself a believer needs endurance. Rafe leaned into the frame of a stranger's video and said, we were fine, that the city was dramatic. I copied his tone. A man near us said grown-ups can be dramatic and still be wrong. I pretended not to hear. Danny said she had booked a table by the rail, away from the speaker. We moved. On the smoking patio, cold metal and citrus smoke mixed in the air. The river of headlights below looked like a slow necklace. Two people near the edge whispered my name and said, she is doing the bit again. I rolled my shoulders back and turned them into my audience. I said we can talk or we can rot. They blinked like cats and looked away. Danny checked her phone again. She said the rooftop live had 20,000 eyes and climbing. She asked if I wanted to end on a soft note. I said I wanted to end on a win. She asked what a win looked like. I said a room that claps. She said rooms are not courts. I said I do not need a court to feel right. A stranger in a blazer asked if I was worried I had hurt a good man. I said good men shouldn't fear strong women. He said strong women listen too. I said, listening is not a leash. He nodded and let the night take him to another corner. The conversation felt like a treadmill, moving without distance. I felt the neon heat at my back and told myself I was a page in a book people would read later. I pushed out another line about truth. Rafe's eyes slid toward the door again. He said he had to go prepare for his shift. I said he could go. He left like a person escaping a warm room full of people yawning. I smiled bigger, as if this had been my idea. I told the live that sometimes the brave walk alone. The comment stream filled with red and blue hearts and a few knives made of words. I told myself knives cannot cut a person who owns the room. I turned my face to the sign and let the pink wash me soft again. The park smelled like wet wood chips and sunscreen. Therese had arranged a small family photo hour for Piper's school project on heroes. She said sunshine helps people act less like screens. I wore soft colours and brought lemonade like a peace treaty. Markus stood by the path with his hands in his jacket pockets. He looked rested but not open. He said we could start at the pond. I said the playground had better light. He said the child mattered more than the light. The line pressed on my chest. My sister Nadia walked beside me from the parking lot. She said she loved me, but would not argue with strangers for me anymore. I said I had not asked her to. She said I had asked the moment I posted. I said posting was my job. She said jobs can be smaller than harm. I blinked like I had dust in my eye. Piper bounced up wearing a paper crown she had coloured with markers. She asked if we were ready to give her brave quotes for school. I said I was born ready. She said brave means kind in her class. I said brave can be loud. She said the teacher says loud is not the same as kind. I looked at Markus. He watched a duck drag a feather through the water with a focus that felt like armour. The photographer, a woman with a clipboard and a quiet smile, asked us to walk slowly along the path. She said to breathe like we liked each other. I did not want a lecture from a camera, but I nodded. Therese walked near my elbow. She asked if I had eaten. I said praise is food. She said praise is air, food is food. The line was simple and heavy. I felt hollow and hated feeling hollow. We sat on a bench for a few portraits. Gordon adjusted the picnic bag straps and watched me with contractor's patience, like a man who could fix many things, but not the foundation under this one. Nadia asked if she should post a defense photo of me with Piper. I said yes. Therese said please no. Nadia said mothers protect daughters. Therese said grandmothers protect the child in the middle. I crossed my ankles and smiled at the camera as if the words were breeze. Piper tugged my sleeve. She asked if I hurt Uncle Markus on purpose after he said no to the club question. The world around me went very still, like the park had held its breath. I said I told the truth first. She said truth first is still a hurt if you do the thing. The clipboard clicked. The shutter clicked. The ducks kept moving in dumb peace. Markus's phone buzzed on the bench beside him. A small banner flashed. Paper drop, 7:40 a.m. tomorrow. He tapped it away without comment and placed the phone under his folded jacket. I pretended I had not read it. The phrase sat inside my head like a coin you cannot spend. We walked to the swings for more pictures. Piper wanted one where we all kicked our feet at the same time. We tried. We missed the timing and laughed in a stiff way. A couple nearby looked over like they were watching a show they had not paid for. I told myself they would go home and say we looked happy. I told myself many things that felt rubbery. Inside the family restaurant, the long table held water glasses, crayons, and plates that clinked like tiny bells. The server took orders with a calm voice. Nadia announced we were celebrating love. Therese said we were celebrating family. I wanted both and could not find the handle to either. I ordered a salad and folded the napkin slowly. Markus thanked the server without looking at me. The thank you was not for me. That hurt worse than an insult. Nadia lifted her phone to take a boomerang of our glasses clinking. Gordon asked her to put it away for 1 hour. She sighed and complied. Piper placed her worksheet beside the salt. It had boxes labelled hero and choice. She asked for one sentence from each of us about how to be brave. I said brave is telling the truth even if it shakes the room. Therese said Brave is protecting others from your own wants. Gordon said brave is owning what you did. Markus said brave is quiet repair. The server set bread on the table and left like a ghost. Nadia asked if I could pause posting for a few days until feelings cooled. I said cooling looked like surrender. Gordon asked if I had talked to Markus without an audience. I said he did not like talking. Therese said talking and shouting are not the same. I said the internet is not shouting, it is community. Piper colored inside a rectangle with slow care, while we pretended this conversation did not cut us. Our neighbor, Mr. Baird, because of course it had to be him, pushed a stroller past the window and peered in. He lifted his phone and then lowered it like he remembered being human. Nadia muttered that living in the age of glass is a curse. I said glass keeps us honest. Therese said glass makes people want to throw stones. Piper asked if stones were allowed in the hero box. No one answered. The server brought plates. I chewed lettuce that tasted like paper. Markus ate half his food and boxed the rest. He thanked the server again. He still did not look at me. I tried to catch his eye and hold it, with a soft expression I planned for moments like this. His gaze slid past me like I was a window. Piper asked if heroes fix things after they break them. I said sometimes. Therese said yes, starting with the hurt they made. Piper nodded like a judge who had understood the case. Nadia reached for my hand under the table. Her fingers were warm. She said in a low voice that this was not a campaign. I did not reply. Words felt like tools that broke when I grabbed them. After the meal, we stood near the door to put on jackets. Markus held the handle for Therese and Gordon, then stepped aside. Outside, the wind pushed wrappers down the sidewalk. A neighbor pointed a phone at the street. The lens turned our way for a second, then turned back into nothing. I told myself the city had its own noise and would forget me soon. I did not believe it. Back at the apartment, the hallway smelled like warm plastic and ink. A sticky note lay beside the mail. Bring forms. The handwriting was neat and small. On the key bowl, a USB with today's date caught the light. The guest bed looked newly smoothed, a little ridge still visible where a hand had run palm wide over the duvet. In the office, the shredder hummed once and fell quiet. I stepped in. Markus's laptop showed a clean desktop tree. Archive A, Archive B, before he minimized it. A small cloud sync pop-up flashed. File uploaded successfully. He clicked it away like a person closing a window for rain. I set 2 mugs side by side. He walked in and moved them apart without words. I said cups were not a court. He said cups were cups. I said he was making a point. He said I kept missing several. I told him a child had called me out at a table and that I had held steady. He said a child had called a thing by its name. I said he looked pleased. He said he looked tired. He asked for my schedule for the week. I said he could see the shared calendar. He said he preferred it from me. I said he sounded like my manager. He said he sounded like someone who needed clear times. I gave him hours in 2 short lines. He nodded and opened a drawer. The lock clicked as it shut. The sound felt like a period. In the living room, I tried to go live and watch the timer count down. I saw my own face in the pre-screen. Eyes brighter than needed, mouth set for war, and I pressed exit. The exit felt like falling. I wanted to post a picture of the mugs with a caption about bend and not break. I did not. Markus passed the door with a thin envelope in his hand. He set it in the outbox unsealed. I asked what it was. He said mail. I said what kind. He said I would know soon. I called it a threat. He said it was a plan. He picked up his phone. For a second, the screen showed a contact saved with only an emoji. A thread titled Follow-Up sat near the top. He set the phone face down. The apartment smelled like toner. The printer pushed a single blank page, as if to prove it could still move paper. I stood at the window and looked down at the street. A car idled at the curb, pointed toward the exit. I told myself it was a delivery driver. I told myself I was not the person the city was waiting to watch. I told myself many things until I felt hollow and light. The balcony air felt thin and bright, like glass in my lungs. I leaned on the railing with my phone in my hand and tried to write a caption that made me the brave one again. The words came out stiff. I erased them. Inside the office, the printer gave a small cough and pushed a single blank page into the tray. The sound made my shoulders jump. I told myself the machine wanted attention the way I did. I stepped into the office and found Markus at the desk. His laptop showed a clean desktop tree with 2 neat folders named Archive A and Archive B. The icons sat like teeth. When I took one step closer, he minimized the window. I said secrets were poison and made people sick. He said records were air and kept houses standing. I said the house smelled like paper now, not love. He said it smelled like order. I said order was a cold blanket. He did not argue. A CloudSync pop-up flashed in the corner of the screen. File uploaded successfully. He clicked it away with a steady finger. The taxes folder on the shelf had a peel of tape showing beneath it, narrow and grey. I lifted the folder with 2 fingers and saw a small USB taped flat to the underside. I set it back and laughed the way people laugh at the dentist. He did not look up. I asked what he was building. He said he was building peace. I said peace without me was war. He did not answer. The shredder on the floor hummed for a moment and then fell quiet, like a saw blade cooling. He asked for my work hours for the week. He did not raise his voice. He only waited with a pen that did not move. I said he could read the shared calendar like a normal person. He said he preferred it from my mouth, not a grid. I said he was pretending to be my manager. He said he wanted clarity. I said clarity was a cage. He kept waiting. I gave him the hours in 2 short sentences. He nodded once and did not write them down. He said, "Thank you." The thank you felt like a stamp on a form I did not see. His phone lit with a call labeled private. He stepped into the hall and spoke in a low voice. The words did not carry, only the rhythm. I stood near the door and listened to nothing. When he came back, the phone showed a thread named follow-up and a contact saved with only an emoji. He placed the phone face down. I said I did not like secrets in my house. He said the house was already full of noise. I said noise was life. He said noise was heat and heat had burned too much. I moved to the kitchen and set 2 mugs side by side for a photo. I wanted to post the caption, "Love can bend," and make the room see me as soft. He came in, glanced once, and slid the mugs apart. I said cups were not a court. He said cups were cups. I said the separation was petty. He said the separation was peace. He opened the fridge and took out a jar of sauce like it was a normal night. The normal look of the jar hurt me more than a fight would have. I told him I planned a lie for later. I said I would explain to people that modern love breathes. He said alive would add smoke to a room that needed air. I said smoke was my color. He said he could not breathe in it. I said he liked to act holy. He said he liked to act steady. I said steady was boring. He said boring keeps roofs on. We went down to the parking garage because he said the back brake felt wrong. The echo in that space made every shoe tap sound like a gavel. He opened the trunk and checked a small toolkit with neat hands. I asked if tools made him feel powerful. He said tools stopped things from falling apart. I said words can do that too. He said not the kind I had used. I said I had used true words. He said truth has to share a room with care. The echo sent his voice back at me in a larger size. I told him people online needed leadership from real women. He said people online needed rest. I said rest looks like losing. He said rest looks like repair. I asked if he would come back to bed. He said he would sleep in the guest room again. I said that made me look bad. He said that made him sleep. A car door slammed on the next level. I flinched. He looked up, listened, and closed the trunk as if he had closed a case. At the supermarket checkout later, Mr. Baird from our building stood in front of me with soup cans and a tabloid that said, "Love and Lies" in bright letters. He turned to look at my face like it was a headline he owned. He said the building chat had a new poll with my name in the title. I said the building chat was a hole in the floor. He said holes show what's under. I said under me there was steel. He smirked and paid in exact coins. The cashier asked if I wanted a bag. I said I would carry the weight. She looked at my hands, then at my eyes, and then she scanned the next person's gum with the quiet care people use around broken cups. Danny texted that my mother had posted a long defense and then deleted it after people dug up old photos from college. Danny said the comments were turning from gossip to judgment. She said the office director had asked Priya if I was a brand risk. I typed that I was the brand. Danny typed that brands need buyers. I stared at the candy rack until the colors blurred. Back home, the apartment smelled like toner and warm plastic. A single blank page lay in the printer tray like a tongue. I said the machine was dramatic. He said the settings were off and he would fix them later. I said he could fix everything except me. He did not answer. He walked to the mail shelf and placed a thin, unsealed envelope into the outbox. My name sat on the corner in his careful writing. I asked what it was. He said mail. I said he was playing games. He said he was making plans. I said plans without me were attacks. He said plans kept storms from eating houses. He asked again for my exact times tomorrow. I gave them in a flat line. He said thank you. He picked up his keys and added a small new one to the ring. I asked what it opened. He said it opened something that needed to stay safe. I asked if it was his heart. He did not smile. He said I would know soon enough. I said he liked to scare me. He said he liked to be ready. In the office door, the locked drawer clicked when he shut it. The sound was simple and final. I wanted to break something. I wanted to cry and make it look noble. I wanted to be the kind of person who could say sorry and leave it at that. Instead, I opened my phone and drafted another caption about courage. The words tasted old. I erased them and tried a long reel with soft piano. The piano made me feel like the lobby of a dentist office. I scrapped that too. I leaned in the doorway and told him he could stop pretending to be better than me. He said he was not better, he was done with scenes. I said scenes kept the truth visible. He said the truth did not need a stage, only light. I asked if he would meet me halfway and post that we were learning. He said he would not post our life. I said then I would. He said that was my choice. He opened the laptop again. The desktop tree, Archive A, Archive B, sat ready like stacked bricks. A CloudSync ping chimed once. He checked a message thread called Follow-Up, read a line, and locked the screen again. He said we would handle this properly. He did not raise his voice. The word properly sounded like a door closing in a quiet house. The office tower lobby at noon looked like a wide bowl of light. Marble floors made every shoe step sound like a line under a word. People crossed with coffee cups and paper bags. A security guard leaned on a tall desk and watched the room the way lifeguards watch water. I wore a fitted coat and a neutral face and told myself I would stage a small reunion and use the photo for a peace post. I held my phone like a shield. An elevator bell rang behind the security desk. The doors opened and Markus stepped out. He had a simple jacket and rested eyes. He did not look pleased or angry. He looked done. I lifted my hand and said we could talk somewhere private. I kept my voice low and round. He said the lobby was fine. A man who had been sitting near the printers stood and looked at me. The man said my full name and asked me to confirm it. I said yes because it was my name. He held a packet with a colored tab. He said I was being served. My mouth opened and then closed. The room did not tilt. It only got quiet inside my ears. The man said it was a divorce petition. He said it included temporary financial and possession orders. He said there was an initial use and possession schedule for the apartment and the car. He said I needed to sign for receipt. I said this was wrong. He said it was lawful notice. The barista at the lobby kiosk called a latte for a woman named Kim. The cup sat there, and nobody claimed it. The printer near the security desk spooled a confirmation page that slid out with a soft hiss. The security radio crackled with 2 numbers that meant nothing to me. The sound made the moment feel like a scene in a show I did not direct. I said Markus could have told me at home. He said home had not worked. I said he had humiliated me with this public act. He said he had chosen daylight because he was tired of midnight screens. I said we could fix this if he apologized for punishing me. He said he would not argue the names of things in the lobby. He did not look at my phone. He did not look at the people. He kept his eyes in a narrow circle where only our small truth fit. The man with the packet showed me the first page, and the tab where I should sign for receipt. My hand made a dry scratching sound on his clipboard. He gave me a copy. I felt the weight. The weight was not heavy. It was precise. He pointed to a page with 3 short sections that mattered today. Temporary orders for money use, a possession schedule for the apartment and car, and communication guidelines that asked us to keep it civil and not turn each other into content. He said emails with mediation times would arrive now. As if the room heard him, my phone buzzed. 2 emails stacked on the screen, mediation scheduling and temporary guidelines. I opened them because I did not know what else to do. The words were plain and cold. They asked for times. They listed don'ts. They said do not move shared funds without notice. They said do not enter certain rooms without permission. They said do not post private matters that could harm. Each line fit inside my ribs like a flat rock. I felt full of rocks and still hollow. I said I had been honest from the start, and he was punishing honesty. He said honesty without care was a knife. I said I was the one hurt by shame online. He said I had fed the shame. I said he was heartless. He said he was finished with scenes. He kept his arms at his sides. He did not reach for me. He did not flinch. He did not smile. He looked like a person who had finished a list and put the pen down. A woman waiting for the elevator looked up and then looked down again, polite and hungry. A child held a cookie as big as her hand and watched us like a quiet owl. The security guard shifted on his feet but did not move toward us. The printer pushed a second small confirmation sheet into the tray and the corner bent under its own weight. I asked if he wanted to win or to heal. He said winning and healing did not live in the same sentence when the sentence was a lie. I asked if we could walk to the corner and talk after this. He said I could email now. He said I could read the packet and follow the steps. He said the steps were boring and worked. I wanted to ask him if I could hold his jacket sleeve like a person who had lost the way. I said nothing. The man with the packet nodded, once to the guard and then to me. He said service was complete and wished me a good day. The phrase good day landed like a joke told by a soft wall. I stood very still because stillness sometimes looks like control. My phone buzzed again with a third email named intake form. The subject line made me feel like a file. I said to Markus that he could walk out now and I would be the villain to the room. He said the room did not matter. He said the next steps mattered. I said he had tried to turn love into forms. He said forms had come to us because love had been turned into content. He said he would not speak more here. He gave me one small nod that meant thanks to the staff for not making this a circus, and then he turned toward the revolving door. I took one step as if to follow. He shifted slightly to the side, polite, like a person making room on a narrow path. He said I could email if I needed to confirm times. I said nothing that mattered. He walked to the door. The revolving glass caught his shape and folded it forward, out, away. The door made a low, steady sound. The barista called another latte for no one. The security radio gave one more dry crackle. The printer stopped. I stood under the bright lights and looked down at the packet. My name looked orderly at the top. The lobby smelled like stone cleaner and coffee. I felt the outline of the temporary orders through the paper as if they were raised. I thought about the mugs on our counter, the blank printer pages, the USB under taxes, the sticky note that said, "Bring forms," the small new key on his ring. All those soft sounds had led to this loud quiet. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.